It's The Big Show, and on this programme I like to talk to my favourite people, and one of them is the man from Embarrassing Bodies. I love that show. Christian Jessen, how are you?
Oh, what a nice introduction. I'm well, thank you.
Really nice to talk to you, and the thing about you is you get to see everybody's private parts, don't you?
I do indeed, yes. Is that a good thing?
Well, I don't know really. I mean, if they're attractive and they're gorgeous, yes, but then again you get normal people like me. Nobody wants to have to go downstairs with me, do they?
If I'm honest with you, but after about the first 1,000, the novelty kind of wears off. They all start to look the same, to be honest.
Is that adage true when they say that? Because, I mean, they are a bit different, aren't they?
No, it is true. Believe you me. You know, I mean, I specialised in sexual health, so that's really what I do all day long. And yeah, they are kind of all the same, despite what we may think.
Hey, listen, it's lovely to talk to you, and this programme, Embarrassing Bodies, goes from strength to strength to strength. I can't stop watching it, but probably for all the wrong reasons. Thank you.
That's fine by me, you know, as long as you are watching it, and as long as if at the end of the hour you've learned just one or two little facts about your body, then I'm happy. You can look at all the willies you want to. It's fine.
Your job, then, what exactly are you? Are you a TV star or a doctor?
I'm a doctor. I always say that. People always ask me that. Now, the TV thing is just a sort of, I suppose, lucky accident that I'm rather enjoying. I don't suspect it'll last for too long. But I don't know. I've always thought, you know, when I trained, I always thought how bad communicators we doctors are. And a lot of those stuffy old consultants that I trained in were just incapable of relating to or explaining things nicely to their terrified patients. So the more I've done the TV, the more I've seen a kind of need for someone to explain stuff to the public and try and put them at their ease. So, you know, it's a role I now think is kind of quite valid, and I hope that I'll be able to keep on doing it, but we'll see. The
other thing about you we're going to get to in a bit is the fact that you're a sex symbol for the ladies. They think you're a nice bit of trouser, don't they?
Do they? I'm not sure. I'm adjusting to all this, put it that way. It's all a bit strange to me.
Well, you say that, but I notice on a couple of occasions you decide to get virtually naked on the programme. That's there for a reason, isn't it?
I have to set an example, don't I? You know, if they have to get naked in front of me, then it's only fair.
I'm going to try that with my local doctor at the weekend. I'll show you yours if you'll show me mine.
Yeah, quite, you know.
Let's start at the beginning then. How old are you now?
I am 33.
And that's quite young, isn't it, to be as qualified as you are?
It is quite young, yes. I'm kind of a baby doctor in those sorts of terms. Yeah, I am. I think, you know, I'm not talking at any great academic level, really. I'm talking about basic stuff that we should all know about, you know. So I think hopefully I'm still just about qualified to do that.
And do you still have a surgery? Are you still able to work as a practicing doctor?
Yeah, I do 2 days a week as a real doctor doing my real job. Although, you know, even that has changed quite dramatically since the telly, because either patients seek me out because they've seen me on the telly and they want to come and talk about all their weird, wonderful things, or they walk in and then look in horror that it's me and start looking around for TV cameras and completely clam up. So,
what made you want to do this for a living?
Ooh, I'll give you the answer that's going to really let you down now, and that is I didn't always want to do it. I actually secretly, when I was at school, I wanted to be a film director. I wanted to direct big blockbuster movies, but because I was academic and I could pass exams, it was kind of encouraged that I did something a little bit more worthy, like law or medicine. And I really liked sciences. I was good at biology, and you know, so my biology teacher sort of suggested medicine, and I thought about it, and I thought, okay, why not? You know, so it wasn't always an overriding passion of mine. Once I started it, I quite enjoyed it, and then I hated it, and then I started really enjoying it again, and now I love it. I'm very glad I chose it.
Is it a bit boring being you? Because, of course, I come in, I'm Mrs. Smedley, 72 years old with a cold. There's not much you can do for me. Is that the mundane nature of what you do as a practicing doctor?
Yes, is the truth. There's a huge amount of repetition. Yes, and obviously there's very common conditions that crop up all the time and you feel like you're giving the same advice over and over again. But then, of course, every now and again there's something weird and wonderful, or you help someone in a slightly different way. And that's sort of the reward. That's the nice bit of your job. And actually, you know, even a cold, Mrs. Smedley might have come in with a cold. It may be that it's not really the cold that she wants to talk to you about, and there's some other problem simmering away underneath. And if you can get to that and get her to open up about that and help her with that, then that's very satisfying.
Let's talk a bit serious now about the business of being a doctor. Do you have time these days to find out what's going on under the surface, or is it a case of get them in and out as quickly as you can?
Well, I'm really lucky, I have to say, because I only do private practice now. I can't get an NHS job because I'm only available 2 days a week because I do so much filming and telly. So I work for a private clinic, and we get you get longer with me, put it that way, so I do have more time. I think, NHS GPs are incredibly stretched, and patients almost have to be expert patients, in order to get the most out of their consultations. 10 minutes is really not enough, even for the most skilled and sensitive of doctors, to get out everything that you need to get out and to cover everything. I don't know how they do it.
It's interesting that during this time of austerity, they've said they're protecting the NHS. Is the NHS, in your opinion, and it is only your opinion, in a good place, or do you think we still need more investment?
I think the NHS is a brilliant thing, but I think it's an outdated concept now. I think it was it was an extremely successful, brilliant idea, but we've moved on. Medicine has become so much more expensive. Technology has moved on. New drugs are being developed all the time that will cost more and more and more, and there's no way possibly we can ever fund it. There's this sort of bottomless pit of want, but only a limited amount of money. So I think really somebody, and it's going to be a government that makes themselves extremely popular, and therefore it's probably never going to happen, but somebody has to put their foot down and go, right, we need to rethink this one. If it was me, if I was Prime Minister, what would I do? I would probably do something like charge for GP appointments. So maybe charge people on one-off appointments, say a £5 or a £10, and actually that would make a significant contribution to the funds. It would probably stop people going in with a cold or they bang their toe or something, and so you'd get rid of a lot of that stuff. But appointments would be a little bit more relevant, I think.
What about posh people though, who could afford to go in for nothing, and the little old lady who can't afford to come in when she's got a lump somewhere?
Yeah, well, that's the argument, isn't it? But at the end of the day, somebody has to make a decision somewhere, don't they? And I think, do you means test it? I think if you have chronic disease, if you have asthma, if you have something like that, then obviously you don't have to pay for every appointment because you have to go in every month anyway, and that wouldn't be fair. There's always going to be people who are never happy, but I think it's time to face the fact that, okay, it's not perfect anymore, the NHS. There are flaws, and perhaps we need to look at a slightly different model of doing things. Makes you very unpopular if you say that. But
all right. Well, we'll find out what they think. They can
wait for the letters that come in.
We're talking to Dr. Christian Jessen today. He's the big star of Embarrassing Bodies. We'll get back and talk about that programme next. Back on your favourite local radio station, talking to Dr. Christian Jessen today. He's the man who, gets to see everything on those programmes, and so do we on Embarrassing Bodies. And this is my question. I'm not the first one to ask it, but why? Why would you turn up to see you when there's a camera there to show the rest of the world?
Yeah, if I had £1 for every time someone asked me that, I would be mega wealthy by now. But it's a good question. I think I do sometimes think that as I'm filming it as well. I'm thinking, are you sure you want to be doing this? But I'm very grateful that people do, because it's given me this incredible TV show. A lot of them just have very, very altruistic reasons for doing it. They say things like, I have been suffering away with this for 10 years and I've realised that is ludicrous. I'm going to get it sorted, and at the same time, I'm going to help other people who might be worrying away at home, hiding away. I'm going to help them realise that, they can come out and talk about it too, and it's fine. So they really, they do it for very honourable reasons. They don't get paid for coming onto the show. I think a lot of people think we pay the patients and things, but we don't. It's purely their own choice.
It is extraordinary, isn't it, what people will reveal in the public domain?
Is it the lure of television, or is it... one thing that a lot of people say is they feel comfortable with us. They've been watching us now for sort of 2-3 years, and they feel like they know us. It's that funny thing about your favourite soap stars. You feel that you're best friends. You know all about their lives. And I think some people say, I don't really know my GP. I wouldn't be comfortable, but I know you, and I'd come and tell you. So, who knows? Is telly, or is that sort of part of medicine, is it going to change things for us? Is it going to change the way medicine's practiced? Who knows?
How many boring bits do you have to see in taping that show before you get to someone with something really exciting?
Oh, we don't. We only see exciting stuff, because obviously we only put the exciting things through. So, we're very selective about what we put on.
Do you know what amazes me is how the human body changes through life, and how you can go through stuff and recover, and the fact that you can have boils under your arm 10 foot deep and you won't go to a doctor. It amazes me that people put up with stuff.
It amazes me too, I have to say. I know what the treatments are, so I suppose I'm even more amazed, because I know it can be sorted out. But to be fair, it's not always, and we tend not to cover this in the show because it's slightly dodgy territory, but it's not always that they haven't come forward. Some of them have been to see their GPs, and their GP has been so useless or unhelpful or unsympathetic that it's put them off forevermore, and they'll never go back, which I think is a shameful thing, actually. And I'm always ranting on about GPs who can't can't communicate and things, because it's the key. You don't need to be a great brain to be a doctor. You don't need to know every single weird, wonderful condition, but you do have to be able to communicate to your patients.
What you alluded to earlier, that doctors don't have enough time, is proven in your program that actually, if you're given the right amount of resources, time and money to get to the bottom of something, most things can be sorted, or at least got to quickly.
Most things can be, and often, as you just said, where you just want an answer, and where there isn't, say, a treatment or a cure, if someone just sits you down and goes, yeah, we know all about this is what it is, don't worry, there's nothing we can do, but over time it tends to improve. That often is enough for people. They don't need miracle cures necessarily. They just want some sympathy, actually. A hug and a cup of tea will do nicely.
Let me stand up because I want to show you this. Hang on a minute. What do you think about that?
It's quite small, isn't it?
It's not so great, is it really? Is there anything that can be done for that?
I'd rub a bit of ointment on that. Looks a bit sore. Thank God this is radio.
The thing about you, though, as a doctor that always amazes me is it can be life and death, and the responsibility to get to the bottom of something would keep me awake at night. Do you lose sleep over that? Do you worry about it? Because, of course, if you make the wrong choice or don't get somebody to someone else quick enough, I mean, it is life and death.
Yes, it is. I suppose because it's just your job. It's what you've been doing for so long. I don't ever suppose it becomes normal, but you get used to that sort of thing. Golly, I mean, and let's not over-egg it here. What I do is very different, say, from what someone, an A&E accident and emergency doctor does, who it really is. Whatever, you don't know what's coming in next, and they could be absolutely at death's door, and you've got to resuscitate them. I don't do that sort of proper, good, sensible medicine at all.
No, but equally, if you miss the lump and bump that somebody comes in with that could turn into cancer, they could be gone before they even get to A&E.
Well, it's true, but I mean, it is your job, isn't it? You could argue that a mechanic could just not quite do the brakes properly, and that could result in a fatal accident. So, everybody has certain responsibilities with their job, but yes, I suppose the implications for ours are slightly greater.
I'm just checking my contract. I don't have any responsibilities whatsoever for this job. I just talk nonsense on the radio.
You can say whatever you like. But one slip and you can upset a lot of people, can't you? You know that. So
well, there is that.
Done.
I think we already have earlier. Hey, listen, I'm going through my notes. It doesn't say anything about you talking to me because you love me. There must be a reason for you coming on.
Oh, of course. I wouldn't do anything for free, would I?
Who can blame you?
Oh, quite.
I'm a busy
man, Well, Dr. C has been hard at work and he's written a book. And actually, it's based on a lot of the things that you've asked me. Is that because I'm a doctor on the telly, before all this telly business, I could lie about what it is that I do. So I could go to a dinner party and I could say, I'm a hairdresser, and that would shut them up. You wouldn't get any more questions. If you announce at that dinner party that you're a doctor, from that point on, you are the centre of attention and you get inundated with questions. People either decide to tell you their long, complicated surgical history about every operation that they've ever had, as if you'd be interested.
Silver tops do that a lot, don't they? I've seen them around doctors.
Oh, they do. Oh,
and then he had me hip done, and then
on and on and on, and you really don't want to hear because you're off duty. But anyway, as a result of that, and I've written this book, and it's called "Can I Just Ask?" because that's usually the first thing that everybody says to me. Is they stop me in the street and they go, "Oh, can I just ask you?" But it isn't your boring kind of which blood pressure pill is best or which antibiotic should I take for which infection. This is all the sort of weird, wonderful things that people would really actually quite like to know, but they'd be far too embarrassed to ask. Like, why do we yawn? Why do we have eyebrows? Why can't I tickle myself? Is there really such thing as truth serum?
Why can't I tickle myself?
Why can't you tickle yourself? Well, you've got to get the book and find out.
Let me try now. Let's see.
It just doesn't work, does it? I'm really ticklish, but I can't tickle myself.
Not even a flinch.
Nothing. It's bizarre, isn't it? So why, if someone else pokes me in the ribs, is it excruciating, and me doesn't work? So, what about all those medical myths? Like, tell me about detox. Should I detox in January? No carbs after 8. All of that stuff.
Don't get me started on carbs. I don't have carbs before 8, let alone after 8.
I could do with some carbs right now. Actually, I'm starving. But copper bracelets for rheumatism, magnet therapy, homeopathy, all those sorts of things. What is the truth? What is really the true answer behind those? I decided I'm going to put it all together in a book, and that's what it's about.
Very good. Always nice to talk to you. Thank you for coming on, Doctor. And very finally, you being you, I'm a deeply unattractive man, as you're well aware. Can you pull being Dr. Christian off the telly?
I'm sort of happily married, so I'm not supposed to.
Well, let's not worry about that. Let's not look at the technicalities. I mean, because, it's got to be some bonus as to wasting your time talking to people like me on the wireless all the time, isn't it?
I'm sure. I don't know what the answer to that is. I don't know what to say. Let's just say I haven't tested it out yet, shall we? Is that the right answer?
She's a very lucky woman, let's just say that. Really nice to talk to you as always. Dr. Christian Jessen, his new book is out now, and of course Embarrassing Bodies is going to be back on again and again. They love to repeat that, and I love to watch it. Even if I've seen it before and I know what's coming, I still want to see it. I love that programme, and thank you very much for coming on the show today.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.